43 pounds ago, I was 14 years old and going to dances to meet boys. And I went to a dance nearby here at St. John's Military Academy with my girlfriend. And they had a live band, and this was back when the dance songs were things like Smoke on the Water and Color My World were the slow songs, and Stairway to Heaven. And I met this tall, dark, handsome 17-year-old who was very sexy. And before I knew it, we were sitting on the floor next to a wall making out, and he smelled like cologne and cigarettes, and I'd never really been kissed before, so it was quite an unforgettable experience. And I was pretty much wearing something like I'm wearing now, except I was lighter, and these were like, jeans bell bottoms with a leather belt. And that night I was, my clothes smelled like cigarettes and cologne, and I couldn't stop thinking about him. And the next morning I called him because I couldn't wait for him to call me. And he asked me to go on a picnic with him to Great Falls, which was super exciting, like a real date my girlfriend and him, and we went to Great Falls and had this amazing picnic on the rocks, and it was a beautiful day, and we were making out, and it was just great. And all this greatness happened because my father was out of town. But then my father came back in town, and he's like, "Who is this guy you're talking to on the phone every night? I want to meet him." So my father meets Dave and gives him the 3rd degree, and it's like, "What are you doing after high school?" "I want to go to the Naval Academy and be a doctor, sir." "Okay, let me see you do 20 push-ups." So Dave did 20 push-ups. And then he was like, "Okay, I'm not letting you out of my sight. You are not going to be alone with my daughter ever again." So not only did that put a big cramp on our style, but he got me on the first plane to France when I was 14, as soon as that 8th grade was done, and had me just get as far away from Dave as possible, which was probably a good idea, actually. But so I go to this little town outside of Geneva, thinking, oh, great, I'm going to be, with people I don't know. And there's a daughter who's 14. So I'm like, okay. So she's 14 going on 18. She says, "Hi, bonjour, Marie-Louise. Would you like a marijuana cigarette?" "Aren't your parents home?" And I was like, "Oh yeah, they don't care." "Okay. No, thank you." And there are birth control pills on the sink, and I'm like, whoa, this is amazing. And she'd spent the last weekend in Paris with her girlfriends and boyfriends, which was also this is another planet from where I'm growing up. And then turned out her girlfriend's boyfriend was in the hospital with hepatitis C. So it was like, I guess it's possible to grow up too fast. This is a little scary. So then I stayed with them for 3 weeks, and then I went and stayed in Geneva with another family, another girl who was 13 going on 16, but her parents were really strict, and she snuck out of the house every night. So all of a sudden, I'm the big protective sister. What are you kidding? And she's sneaking out to go dancing with sweaty boys smoking Gauloise cigarettes. And it was oh God. So anyway, so it turns out, flashing forward, she ended up getting expelled from a boarding school in England and for setting the labs on fire. And then, but she grew up and was a Bond girl. She's in a James Bond movie, if you've ever seen The Living Daylights. And Dave ended up being in the Army for 25 years, retiring, being married to one person for 25 years. And he found me on Facebook a few years ago and reconnected, and he remembered every microscopic detail of making out in his parents' basement, which was pretty fun. But the sad thing is his wife just died a few months ago of lung cancer. But anyway, but now we're talking on the phone every night. So we'll see what happens.